let's just start by saying if you teach, you're not in it for the money because we don't make shit. And what a lot of people think is, oh, you get a summer vacation. No, I don't, because I have to work during that time period. And when I'm not working at school and getting paid for teaching hours, I'm doing unpaid work, like grading this whole stack of papers. Let's move that right in front of me so you can see. This is all I have left to do. And today is Tuesday. Tonight is Tuesday. It's almost over. It's a little bit after 11 o'clock PST. And I've got till Friday to do it, but, I gotta work tomorrow and do things around the house as well, and have somewhat of an internet social life since I'm too broke to go out. Um, but anyway, you know, you know the name of the show. It is what it is. So let's see. I over the weekend I finally saw Silver Linings Playbook, like I said I was going to, and I'm not the biggest Bradley Cooper fan. In fact, there's just something about him that bothers me because I think it's probably just because of the characters he usually plays, but like especially the guy in The Hangover, his character in The Hangover was just too cocksure and just something about him. I just didn't like him from then on. But in this movie, in Silver Linings, I think because his character is a lot more multifaceted than a lot of the characters that he's played, in my opinion, as far as the ones I've seen. And to be fair, I've only seen him in like, a handful of movies. I saw him in a movie with Kat Dennings called Daydream Nation, which is named after a Sonic Youth song, an album, I believe. Um, but he was like my least favorite part of that movie. And really, to be honest, I just watched it because Kat Dennings is in it. Um, she's actually my favorite part of Thor. Never really watched her show, the Girls one that's on CBS, mostly because it's on CBS. Um, and I've heard it's sort of like the lowest common denominator when it comes to humor. Um, so anyway, though, so I watched Silver Linings. Bobby De Niro is like really good in it. I usually hate him uh, in comedies. I'll be honest, and it's not really a comedy; it's a dramedy. It's more of a drama that happens to be funny in parts. Um, like I'm not one of those person who likes Meet the Parents or Meet the Fockers or Analyze This and Analyze That. Hate those movies. Um, and I'm not one of those purists who like De Niro has to play a gangster or else I won't watch it. I think some of his best roles are movies where he's not gangsters, like Taxi Driver and this movie with Mickey Rourke where he plays the devil. I want to say Lionheart, but I could be wrong. Um, he can be good when he's not playing a predictable role, and I think a lot of the movies he's made in like the last 10 years, him and Pacino both been doing the easiest possible thing for a paycheck. But I mean, I'm not them, so I can't question really their motives. I think that's the mistake a lot of people make um, about judging, celebrities and artists about their decision making. It's not up to us. That's their life. It's not ours. Um, I was kind of chastising Ice Cube in one of my classes about, going from being in NWA to making family films, and one of my students was like, "No, I mean he's living the dream because he's gotten to a point in his career where he can do whatever he wants, and he's getting paid either way, and that is sort of admirable. And it doesn't, I'm pretty sure Ice Cube could still Ice Cube you if he wanted to, because he's just that real. Um, I don't think, you move, there's that line in that Tupac song where he's like, I think I moved out of the ghetto, so I ain't real now. And there's so much stuff in hip hop about authenticity. Um, and that kind of bugs me because after a while it is kind of fake. So what are we trying to prove? I don't know. That was a long tangent, but basically, Robert De Niro is really good in Silver Linings Playbook. I mostly really watched the movie for Jennifer Lawrence, not out of some sort of fanboy like wank fest, but I liked her in Hunger Games, and she hasn't really, other than Hunger Games, she has not really been in any other good movies. And I like Hunger Games. I thought it was good for what it was, and for a film studio that has also put out like the Twilight movies, it was a step in the right direction as far as movies geared towards teens. A better example of that put out by Summit as well as Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is a good movie. It's a really great coming of age film. I think people who kind of they have certain problems with it, and I don't want to give you any spoilers, but if you haven't gone through that kind of experience that like Charlie, the main character, does, and I mean all of it, not just high school, but the other things that come up in that movie and in that book, I think it's really hard um, to understand how certain things could be buried in the psyche. So, but in some ways, not 100% I relate to that, to that whole thing. I was never a wallflower though. um, I was sort of the Patrick character without being gay. So there's that. So anyway, but yeah, Jennifer Lawrence has been in a bunch of like schlocky bad movies aside from Hunger Games, and so she was in this movie, and a lot of people said, yeah, if you like her, you should check out the film because she's awesome in it. And obviously, she won an Oscar, so there's a reason why she won an Oscar. It's because she gives a really believable performance. And if you don't know what the movie's about, I had no idea really walking into it. I didn't really watch a trailer or anything. I just, I was like, she won an Oscar. 4 or 5 people told me I should go see it, so I saw it. It's basically the story of a guy who has a nervous breakdown, and it turns out that he's been his whole life he's been undiagnosed as being bipolar, and he has to move back in with his folks in Philadelphia, in like a suburban part of Philly, and that's Brad Cooper's character, and then Jennifer Lawrence is sort of like the town bicycle. Everybody's had a ride, but not really. It's just one isolated incident, and it's had her branded, and she's a widow at like in her early to mid 20s, and it's just not. Life hasn't really turned out the way both of these characters thought, and they sort of form a bond and a relationship that springs out of this, and it's the twists and turns of being accepted by yourself and your family, and being okay with who you are. That's really what that movie's about. Silver linings. The idiom. Every black cloud has a silver lining. There's a positive side to everything if you really want to check it out. And I've taught ESL for the last several years, and a lot of times students have a hard time understanding that idiom. And really, what I tell them to envision is there's a storm cloud, but you can see the sun shining behind it, and there's an outline of silver, of the light that's shining around the outline of the cloud, letting you know that it's mutable, right? It's changeable, it's not permanent. Um, and that mutability is what life is about. I mean, that's the name of one of my favorite Percy Bysshe Shelley poems, and it's just talking about how, just like the clouds change, they move position and shape and everything. So too does life. And and like a good character arc, Cooper and Lawrence's characters, they start out in a crappy place, and it's almost Dante-esque because the Divine Comedy, because that sort of idea is you travel from despair to joy. And that's sort of like the genesis maybe of the happy ending, because we like it when our characters are underdogs. We like it when our main characters have insurmountable odds stacked against them, to bring in Star Wars, which because it's the easiest thing. Star Wars or Harry Potter or the Lord of the Rings series, but all those characters, they start out as little more than nothing, and then they have to go and fight something that seems again insurmountable, and they end up defeating it. Rocky is a good archetype for that kind of arc in terms of character development. And that's the thing that this movie had. I feel like a lot of films, it's all about this fast-paced MTV style quick cut thing where if there is an action every couple minutes, people's attention spans won't really hold on to it. And I felt this movie, Silver Linings Playbook, moved in a very nice and steady way. Like the pacing was good. It didn't seem like I didn't feel like this is like a typical cookie cutter Hollywood movie. It had some heart to it. And it was kind of interesting because like look, I'm from Los Angeles. Um, and Los Angeles is a town where we have people who are definitely fanatics and devoted to our sports teams. I mean, anytime the Lakers win, the playoffs or a big game, cars get overturned, shit gets lit on fire. I mean, it's serious business. The whole thing with Dodger Stadium and that Giants fan getting beat up and everything else like that. I mean, sports, it's a big thing. But I feel like since Philly and like basically New England, like that whole part is like the closest link we have to England. I think, our version of soccer hooligans are these football nuts. And football, I don't mean football as in soccer, I mean football like as in American football. And that the movie also kind of captures again our own version of the hooliganism that we see in sporting events because there's some stuff that goes on, at a tailgate kind of party that um, seems very authentic. One of my best friends lived and went to school in Philly for a period of time. Not to name names or what he was there for, but he often described the fanaticism of people into sports. And when they found out that he wasn't into sports as much as they were, or pretty much not at all, like he had a cursory knowledge of it, but he just wasn't that. It wasn't something that he really concerned himself with. Like this is a guy who would rather go to a museum or watch a Miyazaki movie, than watch a football game. And I'm exactly the same way. That's why we've been such good friends. Um, but that's the thing. It's like I know that that's a real thing in certain parts of the country. Like, men, women, children, they all give a crap about what this overpaid professional athlete does, you know, um, in a stadium. Like I like going to sporting events. Went to a Ducks game like a little while ago, and been to Dodgers games and Angels games, and I think I've been to a basketball game. I don't know. And then like of course college and high school sporting events. Like I get it. Like I get like why we like sports as a culture and as a species. It's the same reason why we like going to concerts and stuff. We like the spectacle. We like to project ourselves onto the players and the musicians. But at the same time, like I can get invested in the Marvel universe, and I can tell you about at least 20 different members of the X-Men. But aside from like the iconoclastic players of the last 20 years, people like Gretzky or Jordan or Bo Jackson or something, um, Canseco, people who have been on The Simpsons, like I couldn't really tell you jack squat about it, you know. And going back in time, there's the people you learn about in elementary school, like Shoeless Joe Jackson and Sandy Koufax. And the only reason why Sandy Koufax matters to me is because I'm a Jew. He was like one of the first, openly Jewish baseball players back in a time when anti-Semitism was, par for the course and just normal. I mean, it still is normal all over the world, but that's another show topic entirely. So anyway, if I was gonna rate Silver Linings Playbook, I'd give it a solid. I'd give it like a 4.5 because there were little things too that I feel like could have been tightened up. Um, Mostly just there were like a lot of like how do I put this? There were like in the supporting cast, like I would have liked to known more and seen more, just a little bit more of like the sister character Jennifer Lawrence's sister is played by Julia Stiles in the movie, so I would have liked a little bit more. We got a lot of what was going on with the husband, who is like a good friend of Bradley Cooper's character, but we don't get a lot of like the wife's side of it. And it would, I mean, it's not really something that like the movie really hinged on, but it would have been nice. But for the most part, it was a really good movie. It's definitely like a solid A for sure, if not like an A minus. So if you haven't seen it yet and you're debating seeing it, I would definitely say go see it because it's a movie that I mean I literally walked out of the theater. I saw it with my mother because we hadn't gone to see a movie together in a while, and my girlfriend was on a day trip, and I literally got out of the theater and I called my girlfriend and I told her I love her. So that's the kind of movie it is. It makes you feel all warm and tingly inside because I do love my girlfriend. And you would too if you knew her. So anyway, so that's it for today. It should be right. It's like 16 minutes. So it is what it is. Comment, look me up on Twitter. Blah 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 blah. Beard.